Welcome to the Biz Buy Lab. If you have been thinking about buying a business, you are in the right place. You don't want to just start scrolling. You want to find the right business for you, not just any business. Today, Delia is going to share the framework that she uses to help find the right business. So, Delia, can you go ahead and share your process with us? Where do you start?
Yes, before we share the framework itself, I want to use a simple analogy to explain the process of buying a business. Think about buying a house. Before you go to any open houses, you start to identify what really fits you. Is this a starter home? Is this the first home you're buying? Or is this a forever home? How much space do you need? How much space can you afford? What can you afford without stretching yourself too thin? There are many questions that go into buying a home. We can probably continue and come up with like 100 questions for just buying a home. Well, buying a business is about the same thing. You have to start identifying what business fits you as a person based on who you are, your skills, your energy, your capital, the relationships you have. All those things really play a big role into the type of business you can buy. And the same business that can be great for you could be a nightmare for someone else, and vice versa. Because we are different people, we bring different things to the table. So that's why we created a simple framework. And the big framework, the overarching framework, can be explained into three steps. Know what you need, the same way you would approach it when you buy a house. Step two, find what fits, and then close it properly. So when we're thinking about buying a business, again, we talked about know what you need, know what fits you. Once you know what you need, you go around looking. Because this process is pretty intense, if you don't know what to do, you're going to feel very overwhelmed. I remember when I started, it felt very overwhelming. I spent months looking at dozens and dozens of businesses and couldn't take any forward steps. That's because I wasn't clear on what I needed. When I became a bit more clear on what I had to bring to the table, what I wanted, it became a lot easier to start making decisions. So that's why you have to do that. First step is really essential for newer buyers. Then defining what fits in this section, or at this stage in the process, you want to identify those businesses that fit your operator style, your capital range, your energy level. And only when you identify these, you have some conversations with sellers and brokers. Do you submit an offer? Same way you would do it with a house. Once you submit an offer, in the process of buying a business, there are many steps to close it properly. Uh, Again, when you buy a house, you do an inspection. It's not enough that the house is in the right neighborhood, it has some of the things you want. There are things legal and those safety things you do to make sure that this is the right house for you. With a business, you do the same thing. You have to do the due diligence. You have to go through the process to make sure this is the right business. So again, know what you need, find what fits, and then close it properly. With a business, there are a lot more documents, contracts, agreements you have to sign, and you have to agree on a lot of different things. But if you take it in the right steps and you follow the right steps, you're going to protect yourself, you're going to buy the right business for yourself. Now, the framework itself, right? The three steps that we mentioned: know what you need, find what fits, close it properly. That's like the overarching framework we share. But then we go a little bit deeper into find it framework. F stands for fit analysis. You profile yourself across 5 dimensions we share with you before you take a look at any listing. Then you go to identifying the right business. That's when you screen deals against your profile, not someone else's profile, and not the market's opinion. Of course, those things matter, but you have to find the business that finds you. So fit analysis, identify the right business. Stage three, narrow and engage, the N in find it. At this step, you start to talk to sellers, and we always recommend you talk to several sellers or brokers to narrow things down cut out the wrong ones, to remove what doesn't fit your profile. And then you engage with the ones that seem like a good deal. That's the stage where you potentially submit a letter of intent saying, I really want to spend the time doing the due diligence, which is the D in find. The due diligence is where you go deep, you go look at the numbers, you look at the financials, the risk tolerance, the risk of buying this business, and you should analyze everything through the lens of fit. It's not enough that it's a good business. It has to be a good business for you. So find it. IT stands for ink the deal and take over. And inking the deal is when you finalize the terms, the structure. You're able to do that, come up with the structure once you understand the workings of the business. That's why the due diligence is so important before you submit a final deal. And at this stage, it's important to know how to create a structure, how to create the terms, because you can save money for the seller by categorizing things properly or differently on the purchase agreement. There are many things you can do to potentially work on at the price. So we'll talk about that in the videos that focus on that stage. But inking the deal is the same process as when you buy a house, closing it properly, making sure everything is tied correctly and there are no loose ends. And then taking over in itself is a big process. Finding the right business is great, but then you have to transition, to take over, to own it. And the first 90 days are pretty essential. So we also talk about that. A lot of people don't expect some of the challenges they experience in the first 90 days. That's why we spend a lot of time on talking about the 90 days. But that's it, the find it. That's the framework that covers the steps. Fit analysis, identify the right business, narrow and engage, due diligence, ink the deal, take over. Find it. That's our framework.
Awesome. Thanks so much for helping us avoid chasing a business that is not realistic for us, is not the right fit. So thanks for helping us find the right deal, sharing your framework with us today. If you want to know more and get involved in our community where Delia goes more in depth in this, click the link in the description and the show notes and join us in the Biz by Lab community.